Coming up next, more detractor content and after that Dragon Ball Z, only on Toonami.
So I find it interesting in this DSP clip that it basically proves that no matter what DSP is talking about, he can't help himself but go completely toxic when it comes to talking about other people.
I want to talk directly with my live audience about what they think. Did they like it? Did they not like it? What, lore, big lore. Because here's the thing. This show changes some critical lore in the universe. And some people are very upset. I told you, YouTubers out there, oh my God, the lore has changed. No, this is a lore error. We got to talk about this because Todd Howard, with what he said about the show, basically has caused this big problem. Now that I'm done summarizing the show, it's fully interactive again. If anyone contributes, I will do a live shout out right away. This is no longer me just blabbing and lecturing. This is now going to be just like a normal stream where we have a conversation about the show. Okay? So, we're going to change it. We're going to flip the formula now. Because I'm tired of talking, quite honestly. Talking for a straight hour is exhausting. Now I want to hear everyone else's thoughts. Here's the thing. If this is to be canon, and first of all, we should address the elephant in the room. I'd like to answer Mateo, but let's address the elephant in the room. Todd Howard came out in November and said the entire show is canon to Fallout lore. He did it again. They just interviewed him again, like the other day, and he said it again. He says, oh, I painstakingly worked with the crew so that it's 100% canon to Fallout lore. Todd Howard is a dirty liar, and we all know this. Everything that comes out of his life, everything that comes out of his mouth is a half-truth, right? He said a million things about Starfield that weren't true. When you finally play the game, you're like, wow, what a bunch of lies, right? That's who he is. He's the PR guy, the face of Bethesda. He's not to be believed, all right? Just in the first episode of the show, the ghoul doesn't talk like other ghouls. None of the ghouls talk like other ghouls anymore. That's a lore change. All the ghouls need chemicals to survive. That's a lore change. You've already changed 2 pieces of lore. That's not canon with the games. You lied, Todd. And I think what's going to happen is, likely, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 are all going to happen before another game comes out. But these seasons are going to be what everyone knows. So here's what's going to happen. They're just going to change the lore in the games. And everyone's going to be like, oh, no, why'd you do that? But that's what they're going to end up doing because people are going to love this show so much because they do right now. People are consuming this show and absolutely devouring it and loving it. They're going to love this so much. This is going to become the new canon. I think this will override all of the games previous. So from now on, you're not going to hear ghouls that talk like this because now you want to get your voice. No, it's going to be normal talking from now on. And the ghouls are going to need their chems to stay alive. And you saw what I'm saying? So to answer Mateo the God's question, do you think we'll see the Legion? I don't know. Because the thing is, if the ending of the series is to be true, and Hank is heading towards New Vegas because apparently Mr. House is in cahoots with Vault-Tec and he needs to go see his boss, essentially, because everything went wrong, that means Mr. House is in control. Mr. House won. That means the Legion is at the very least, all right, at the very least, subdued. Because remember, the whole Legion's plot was to take over New Vegas, to beat the NCR and all of that. That didn't happen. If New Vegas is still intact and Hank is heading towards New Vegas because Mr. House is still in charge, Legion lost. So I would almost think that maybe there'll be references or maybe, again, remnants of the Legion, but I don't think we're going to see the Legion in the full capacity that they were regarded or represented in the New Vegas game. I don't think this is causing all these problems. All these lore hounds on the internet are going crazy talking about the discrepancies between the show and the games, and they're going nuts. No, this is an obvious lore error. It's a lore error. It's not a lore error. Todd Howard is your lore error because he's an idiot. There's no way that this show could be completely canon with the games because it changes things about the games right as the show starts. So this will be its own Fallout universe. Whether the games decide to change to become in line with this universe or these 2 universes will actually stay different, I wonder. That's a good question. But I find it hilarious because I really feel like these YouTubers are freaking out because this is their livelihood. For how many years they've just been making Fallout lore videos. And now, if you're telling me there's a new Fallout universe that erases all their lore and makes it irrelevant, it means everything they've done on the internet is worthless. Overnight. Because of this show. So, lore error, not lore error. It's a show and a game are not the same. Doesn't matter what Todd Howard says. We know that he's a PR man, a front man who lies, you know?
Irrelevant to like the main point of this video, it is hilarious that like DSP doesn't know just like baseline information about people, claiming that Todd Howard is basically a face of Bethesda and not in any way involved in the development of the games, even though his title officially is a video game director and producer. But I guess in DSP's mind, that equates to being just a spokesperson somehow. So I myself haven't really noticed much regarding as far as like the Fallout lore community kind of being like up in arms regarding some of the changes that have been done in the Fallout show. But his DSP loves to say that he stays in his own lane. So I guess if you consider staying in your lane being taking shots at everybody in their lanes, much like he swerved across multiple lanes on a highway and got into a car accident, then yes, DSP is totally capable of staying in his lane. It doesn't make sense to me as to like why attack other content creators that are in no way kind of encroaching in your space as a Let's Player or like a Twitch streamer. Lore content creators basically just kind of stick to what they're doing, creating lore, discussing lore, building timelines in certain games. Like, in my opinion, overall, lore content is interesting, especially if you're like a big fan of certain franchises. Like, I like to watch, personally, like Zelda lore videos and even like Fallout lore. Like, after watching the show, my girlfriend and I started watching different Vault Tech lore and like lore of like all the vaults in the Fallout universe. So even if the Fallout show somehow has like altered what would be considered canon throughout the games and those communities are having a conversation about it, why does Phil feel the need to kind of shoehorn himself into it by mocking these creators? Just look at the way that he like laughed at these people. Oh, well, everything you've done over the past few years is pointless. But then if you turn around and criticize that anything that he's done, you can't. You are a no-loathe, mouth-drooling, scum of the earth, subhuman, that the world would be better off without you. Like, this man is absolutely unhinged. He has to actively mock and ridicule other people. I don't know, maybe he has like some sort of complex where he realizes that he is an actual failure at YouTube. And so by mocking other people, it makes himself feel a little bit better to his audience of like 5 or 6 handful of people that actually donate to him. The stupid thing is that he could be introducing himself to these communities in a better way if he knew how to actually speak to people and actually like address communities. It's the same thing with what happened in the Zelda community when he was mocked and ridiculed for being absolute garbage at Tears of the Kingdom. He doesn't know how to speak to anyone. And it's evident in the fighting game community if you watch ALT's content where he dives into that. It's evident in his entire career where he's never really had any sort of interaction with other content creators, and no one wanted to bring him on aside from like a few weirdos that wanted to interview him that were diehard fans of his. And I feel like at this point, it's like you can't even blame DSP anymore. It's 100% his parents' fault. I highly doubt his mother and father knew how to socialize him properly so that he knows how to actually speak to people and develop like actual relationships. Like, I just can't fathom being a fan of something and then immediately trying to isolate yourself from other people in that community. Like, addressing lore content creators in this way, regardless if you maybe agree with the lore or not, these aren't like theory videos. They're just, organizing lore that's in the game in a digestible manner for entertainment purposes. Like, if DSP was such a fan of Fallout, this would be a good talking point to discuss. I mean, I know he throws his own stupid theories out in this video, but when everything is generally like prefaced by this like weird, condescending, toxic, arrogant aura. It just is off-putting. And maybe this is the real reason he canceled the documentary, because Mike Klum was blowing a lot of smoke up his ass saying how he was such an interesting person. But if he really ended up spending enough time with DSP, I think he would have realized how much of a garbage, toxic piece of shit he actually is. And DSP is afraid of that.